Score increase in a tic-tac-toe game. The concept of score increase is integral to any competitive game as it helps track a player's success and performance over time. In tic-tac-toe, score serves to quantify the outcomes of each round, typically assigning a point to the winner. The objective of incorporating a scoring mechanism is to provide players with a tangible sense of progress and achievement during the game. This can be particularly useful when the game spans multiple rounds, creating a competitive environment where players are incentivized to win more rounds. To begin with, a scoring system in tic-tac-toe is usually quite simple. Each round of the game results in a winner, or sometimes a draw, and the winner's score is incremented. In a typical single-round game, the score increases by 1 for the winning player, while the losing player receives no points for that round. If the game ends in a draw, neither player's score increases. This clear and simple system helps to maintain the focus on the gameplay itself without overcomplicating things. The importance of score tracking in a game is not limited to showing who is winning. It also serves to enhance the overall player experience. For example, displaying a running score helps to establish a sense of competition, motivating players to keep playing and strive for victory. Without a score system, tic-tac-toe could feel like an endless sequence of isolated games without any meaningful progression or sense of accomplishment. In terms of Flutter implementation, the game state needs to be managed carefully to track and update the score after each round. Flutter provides various tools for managing state, whether it's simple state management through the setState method or more sophisticated solutions like Provider or Block. The score needs to be incremented when a player wins, and this can be easily done by checking the outcome of the game after each round. The score variable must be updated and the user interface, UI, needs to reflect the new score promptly. A visual display of the score, perhaps at the top or bottom of the screen, can be employed to keep players informed throughout the game. One of the critical aspects of the score increase is how it is visualized. It is not enough for the game to simply update the score in the background. The score should be shown clearly on the screen for players to see. Typically, this involves using basic Flutter widgets such as text, which can dynamically display the current score of each player. As each round concludes, the score should update to reflect the result, giving players real-time feedback on how they're progressing through the game. A constantly visible score system can also serve to enhance the game's competitive feel, encouraging players to push harder for a win. The handling of ties or draws also plays an important role in the score increase logic. Since a draw results in no increase in score, the game needs to recognize when a tie occurs. This could happen if all spaces on the board are filled and no player has achieved a winning line. In this case, the score should remain unchanged, but the game still needs to communicate this outcome to the players. Often, a message such as "it's a tie" will be shown, reminding players that while no one won, the round is over, and they can start a new round if they wish. Overall, adding a score increase mechanism to tic-tac-toe not only tracks who wins each round but also adds a sense of achievement and progression to the game. Players can compare scores after several rounds, creating a more engaging experience. This system transforms the game from a simple, one-off experience into a more competitive environment, where winning and losing take on more significance. The incorporation of such a system can significantly elevate the overall player experience in tic-tac-toe. Another important consideration for the score increase mechanism is how the game can handle different game modes or difficulty levels. In certain tic-tac-toe variants, such as a tournament-style game, a player's score could be accumulated across multiple rounds, often referred to as a series of games. This type of system is especially useful when players aim to win a series rather than a single round. For example, in a two-player series, the first player to win a predetermined number of rounds, such as 5, would be declared the overall winner. In such cases, keeping track of the cumulative score and dynamically updating it throughout the series adds another layer of complexity to the score increase system. In a scenario where multiple rounds are being played, it's important to ensure that the score system resets after each round and that the scores from previous rounds are tallied appropriately. This will require careful management of the game state, with a reset function that clears out the board and prepares for the next round while retaining the cumulative score for both players. Additionally, the game must provide an easy way to track who is leading and how many games each player has won in the series. This can be done by displaying both the individual game score and the series score side by side, allowing players to gauge their progress throughout the session. It is also worth noting that the score display should be flexible enough to handle different configurations. For example, the game may allow players to choose the number of rounds they wish to play in advance, and the score display must accommodate this change by showing the current round out of the total number of rounds selected. Such flexibility enhances the user experience, as players can see not only their score but also how many rounds remain in the current session. This also helps to create a sense of anticipation as players approach the final rounds of the game, with their scores hanging in the balance. To make the score increase system even more engaging, a Flutter Tic Tac Toe game could incorporate visual feedback mechanisms when the score increases. This could involve animations, sounds, or changes in the appearance of the score text to give players a sense of reward. For example, when a player's score increases, the game could display a visual cue like a subtle animation or a glowing effect on the score, indicating the player's progress. These small but impactful details improve the user experience and make the game feel more rewarding. Finally, it is essential to address the case when the game ends in a draw. Since no score increases occur in the event of a tie, the system should still offer some form of closure to players. The game could display a message such as "Good game," or "It's a tie," and encourage players to start a new round. This provides a psychological incentive for players to continue playing, as the game maintains a positive, motivational atmosphere even after a draw. Additionally, players should be able to quickly reset the game and resume playing, preventing frustration or stagnation. Game over logic in a tic-tac-toe game. The game over logic in tic-tac-toe serves to determine when the game should end and what the outcome is. Tic-tac-toe is a relatively simple game, but the game over logic plays a crucial role in managing the flow of the game and ensuring that players are aware of the outcome, whether it is a win, loss, or draw. This logic encompasses several key scenarios: detecting when a player wins, identifying a draw, and handling the transition to the end of the game. Once the game reaches a conclusion, the game over logic must trigger the appropriate actions, including notifying the players of the result and providing options to start a new game. The most common and straightforward condition for a game to be over in tic-tac-toe is when one of the players achieves a victory. This occurs when a player places 3 of their marks, either X or O, consecutively in a row, column, or diagonal. The detection of this winning condition is a fundamental part of the game over logic. Once a player's marks are aligned, the game must recognize this and end the current round, declaring the winner. Without this mechanism, the game would fail to acknowledge the player's success, leaving players confused about whether they've won or not. Another significant game over condition is a tie or draw. A draw happens when the game board is completely filled, but no player has succeeded in creating a winning line. It's important for the game over logic to properly detect this condition as well. Since a draw doesn't have a winner, it requires a different handling approach compared to a regular win. In the case of a tie, the game needs to inform the players that no one won the round, and the game has ended in a draw. The game can then reset or allow the players to continue with a new round if they choose. One of the main challenges in implementing game over logic is ensuring that the game over state is detected at the right time. This requires continuously monitoring the game board after every move to check for a winner or a draw. As the game progresses, the state of the board changes, and the game over logic must be able to recognize the moment when the game should end. This can involve checking every row, column, and diagonal after each move to ensure that no further moves are necessary once a winner is found or when the board is filled. The game over logic also needs to be seamless and responsive, providing a smooth transition when the game ends. When a player wins, the game should immediately end, displaying a congratulatory message to the winner and offering the option to start a new game. Similarly, when the game ends in a draw, the system should display a message indicating that the game is a tie and provide the option to restart.